We're going to look at some stuff here with defining variables. For defining variables, we are not going to be solving these problems. We are just going to define the variable or variables. So, for example, if we're doing a problem and we're trying to find the number of markers, instead of just putting m equals markers, we're going to have a more formal way of writing that. So we would say, let m represent the number of markers. So similar idea, it's just a little more formal, a little bit nicer way of writing it. So basically what we're going to do on these problems, we're going to look at what is it we're trying to find, and then from there we're going to define our variable. So for number 1, there were 7 roses in the vase. Melanie cut some more roses from her flower garden. There are now 15 roses in the vase. How many roses did she cut? Some problems like this one, they actually directly have a question of what it is that you're trying to find, and that we're going to make into our variable that we're going to define. So since the question is, how many roses did she cut, we know that's what we're trying to find, and so that is what we're going to be using for defining our variable. So what we can do, we can say let, if you want, we're talking about roses, so you could use R for roses. So let R represent roses that Melanie cut. Okay, if you want to say the number of roses that Melanie cut, something like that would be fine as well. Number 2, there were 19 bales of hay in the barn. Fred stacked more bales in the barn today. There are now 72 bales of hay in the barn. How many bales did he store in the barn? And actually, sorry, I've modified this question. We're going to say, how many bales did he stack today? So we could say, if we're talking about bales of hay, if you want to do B for bales, if you pick a different letter, that's fine. Let B represent the number of bales that Fred stacked today. Okay, something to that effect. Number 3, they're asking how many packs of DVDs can you buy with $136 if one pack costs $17. So we're trying to find there the number of packs of DVDs we can buy. So we could say let P represent packs of DVDs. Okay, and we don't have to go into any more detail with that. We're not going to say packs of DVDs you could buy with $136 if one pack costs $17. We don't need all the details of the problem. We just need to know that the letter P is representing the packs of DVDs. Number 4, Alyssa's high school played 15 hockey games this year. They won most of their games. They were defeated during 3 games. How many games did they win? So we're trying to find out how many games they won. So we could say let G represent the number of games won. Okay, if we want to be more specific, and we could say, let G represent the number of hockey games that Alyssa's high school team won. We could go that route, but this is probably sufficient because we're defining a variable and then we're working out this problem. So defining the variable is just going to be specific to this problem that we're doing. Number 5, after eating at the restaurant, Mary, Tom, and Mike decided to divide the bill evenly. If each person paid $28, what was the total of the bill? So we're trying to find the total. So let T represent the total of the bill. So before they divided it out, T is that total. If you use T, you might want to use kind of a curled part on the bottom so it doesn't look like a plus sign or anything. Okay, and as you do these, hopefully you can get to a point where you can pause and try to figure out what defining the variable would mean for that problem before I show it to you. Number 6, there are 17 maple trees currently in the park. Park workers will plant more maple trees today. When the workers are finished, there will be 97 maple trees in the park. So we are trying to figure out, even though it doesn't have a question here, what we're trying to figure out is, or what we could figure out is how many maple trees they're going to plant. So we could do, so let M represent the number of maple trees planted today. Okay, number 7. Joan has 39 books in her library. She bought several books at a yard sale over the weekend. She now has 93 books in her library. That would be buying several, I guess. So the question would be then, we could try and figure out. So we could say let B represent books Joan bought at a yard sale. Okay. Number 8, Joan had 43 peaches left at her roadside fruit stand. She went to the orchard and picked more peaches to stock up the stand. There are now 82 peaches at the stand. So we could say let P represent peaches Joan picked. And you could argue maybe we need to put the word today on here. Maybe she's already picked some other peaches, but today she picked peaches. And finally, number 9, you have some green marbles and some red marbles. You have a total of 11 marbles. You have 3 more green marbles than red marbles. How many of each type do you have? For this problem, we actually have more than one thing that we would be trying to figure out. So we could say, let G represent the number of green marbles. And then also we need to say, let R represent the number of red marbles. Okay, so actually 2 variables to define on that problem. So we'll get into actually solving the problems later, but I wanted to make sure everybody understood what we need to do when it asks us to define variables. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how to do that, and have a good day.